Welcome back into another episode of the Foolish Club Postgame Show. I am Steven Serda, joined by my guy, Rocky Magaña. Rocky, we're going to dive into how the Chiefs got here, but because it was a very frustrating performance overall today, but it doesn't matter, Rocky. Chiefs improved to 6-5 on the season. They get an absolute must win over the Indianapolis Colts. And this would have been a devastating blow to the Kansas City Chiefs season. It was ugly, it was hard fought. They found a way to grind it out, and the Chiefs defense just absolutely gets it done in the second half against the Indianapolis Colts. And they come away with the win, even though there's 100 things we could probably dissect and be frustrated about from this performance for the Kansas City Chiefs, but they get it done. Ahead of Thanksgiving, we get an early Christmas present, and the Chiefs keep themselves alive with this overtime win over the Indianapolis Colts.
Listen, this was not a great performance by the offense by any stretch of the imagination. They moved the ball, but they couldn't put the ball in the end zone when they needed to. But I'm not splitting hairs here. They're playing a Lou Anarumo defense that always gives them fits. But the Chiefs found a way to come out with a big victory that they own a must-win situation. And I don't think you could be any happier with the way the defense played today. We kind of thought that I said it a couple weeks back that I thought that the Colts were frauds with Daniel Jones and they were just like Detroit Lions light on offense. And if you shut down Jonathan Taylor, that they didn't have the firepower to hang with you and that the Chiefs could beat this team. And I was right. Chiefs sold out to stop Jonathan Taylor and they did it. And thank God the Colts have Daniel Jones at quarterback, because if you try to make him throw the ball further than 5 yards downfield, he's completely ineffective. And the Chiefs knew that, and they came out and what was that? Like four 3-and-outs in the game. 4 3-and-outs in the game. Yeah. This game never should have gone to overtime, Steven. We had first and goal from the 1-yard line. But a win is a win against an 8-2 team, and the Chiefs kept themselves in the playoff hunt. There's still work to be done, but they're still in the playoff hunt, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, it felt like in the fourth quarter, it felt like this game was over in the third quarter. Like, it felt like, okay, this season's done for the Kansas City Chiefs. They simply aren't good enough this year, despite the fact that we think they have the talent. They aren't putting it all together. And the fourth quarter, it changed. Kareem Hunt has that fumble deep in the red zone, and it feels like this thing is totally over. That's the season right there. And then the defense steps up in every way. And going into this game, we talked about it all last week, Rocky. Like, the recipe for success against this Colts team is so obvious. And it's easier said than done, but the Chiefs certainly have the personnel to make that happen, because the Chiefs have been good at stopping running backs all season. It's the rushing quarterbacks that they've had more problems with. So, like, when you look at their inflated ground game numbers, it has a large part to do with that. They've done a really good job against opposing running backs all season. And one thing they've done well defensively is take away the team's best option. They have done a good job of that on the defensive side of the ball all year. The biggest difference today, and we know you slow down Jonathan Taylor. This is his second lowest rushing total of the entire season in what has been like an MVP caliber year. And they take him away. You can force Daniel Jones into some bad decisions, and they don't wind up getting a turnover off of Daniel Jones today. But the biggest difference is that the Chiefs were actually creating some pressure and against a good offensive line. And really, mainly, it was just Chris Jones. Like, Chris Jones, this is Chris Jones' best game of the season. Like, he was an absolute menace, and he was absolutely dominating up front against a pretty good Colts offensive line. And Chris Jones, in a do-or-die game, showed up and was the biggest difference in the reason, really, that the Chiefs even had an opportunity to get this thing to overtime and then inevitably come away with the win. I think it has everything to do with the performance that Chris Jones put on tape today for the Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because it comes down to like who won the game for the Chiefs today. Sure, in overtime, and terrible first half for Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy, but they had big plays in overtime to help set up the scores that the Chiefs needed. So, they kind of redeemed themselves a little bit. But really, you talk about the two biggest players in this game. We're talking Kareem Hunt and Chris Jones, right? Rashee Rice ended up going over 100 yards. He had a couple of big chunk plays, but really without without Kareem Hunt toting the rock 27 times. Like, there's no way that the Chiefs even moved the ball as well as they did. And it's because the Chiefs actually committed to running the ball today that they were able to kind of get some chunk plays and passing down the line. And all I got to say is like Chris Jones and Kareem Hunt are both a little long in the tooth, though. So both those boys got to get in the cold tub, because if we need them to do this for 10 more weeks, like it's going to be a long haul. If we gotta expect close to 30 touches every single week in order for his offense to work.
And I want to get into the offensive performance, and Rashee Rice comes up massive in the second half and overtime, and then he did leave the game for a little bit with what they were calling a hamstring injury, and on that last big catch in overtime, you saw him like really favoring that leg, and so that's something to watch because now we head into a Week 13 matchup on Thanksgiving, so it's a short turnaround week against the Dallas Cowboys, and hamstring injuries are tricky. I kind of wouldn't be surprised if Rashee Rice winds up being out in this game because hamstring injuries are something that can linger. It's something that you can easily re-aggravate. And so that's definitely going to be something that could be an issue ahead of Thursday's game. But he winds up being a monster in the second half after doing absolutely nothing for the Chiefs in the first half. And the offensive performance still, like plenty of things to come away frustrated with. But Kareem Hunt finishes this game leading the Chiefs in carries and easily doing that. 30 carries, 104 rushing yards, gets that one touchdown. Rice, 8 catches for 141 yards. Xavier Worthy with a monster 30-yard catch in overtime. He made a beautiful adjustment on the ball. It was a crossbody throw from Mahomes. Like, they made the plays that they had to win this game on offense. There's still, I think I don't think that they've solved the issues, but they did lean into the run today. They ran the ball more than I would assume they've run it in any single game this season. And that at least helped keep them from creating the bad mistakes. And the mistakes were the things that were keeping them from winning these close football games early in the season. And so that's at least a step in the right direction for the Chiefs on the offensive side of the ball. Like, hopefully, this game is a sign of growth for the Kansas City Chiefs on the offensive side of the ball, because if they can get this from the defense, their secondary is tremendous, in my opinion. It's the pass rush that's been the biggest issue, and I don't know if you can rely on this from Chris Jones on a week in, week out basis at this stage of his career. But hopefully, all of this is a sign of them like moving in the right direction and at least saying, okay, if we just don't make the mistakes, we have enough talent to overcome and find a way to win these close games. And then inevitably, hopefully, that means down the stretch, we finally see them like actually put everything together, because this is a huge step in the right direction, even if it was incredibly frustrating for 3 quarters of this game.
I mean, extremely frustrating for the first 3 quarters of this game. And here's the thing: is like the Chiefs almost like begrudgingly started running the ball from under center. I feel like, because like you saw it like right off the bat. Like, they tried to go back to the RPOs that we've been like screaming for them to stop right off the bat, and the ball gets tipped and intercepted right off the bat. And they were like, "Oh, you mean the thing that hasn't worked for 3 straight weeks is still not working?" And then they were like, "Okay, I guess we'll try to do the other thing that everybody's been saying we should try to do." And then they went on long drives, but they got to figure out how to finish in the red zone, right? And I know Lou Anarumo's defense is always really tough against the Chiefs, but I mean, you got first and goal from the 1 yard line with your season on the line to win the game, and you go backwards, right? Like what's this double pistol formation? Like, just get behind.
That was so
center.
brutal.
Just get behind
That was
center.
so brutal.
Just get under center and just run it up the GD middle, right? Like I know you're not going to tush push, but then just give it to Kareem. Just give it to Kareem 3 times in a row, straight up the middle. Just 3 dives, y'all. That's all you got to do. But besides the fact, because guess what? Drew Tranquil, who had been struggling to make big tackles this season, came up huge against Jonathan Taylor in a couple of moments. We had Jaden Hicks sightings this week, which were awesome.
Had a big tackle late in the game.
Had a great big tackle late in the game. Like the linebackers in general, I thought played awesome today. Nick Bolton had a really good game. Would really like to see him not knock the ball out of the defensive back's hands there in that interception late. But I mean, listen, there's better offenses. Like, I know the Colts have been everybody's darling, but they hadn't really played anybody this season. And when they go against seasoned defensive coordinators, they struggle. We saw that with Pittsburgh. We saw that with the Chiefs. The Colts played the Titans twice this year already, right? Like, the Colts played the Raiders. Like, the Colts weren't beating anybody coming in. Their record is inflated. And so while I feel great about this game because the Chiefs are still alive in this thing, that we're a long way from being out of the woods, you guys. We're real far away from being out of the woods in this thing. We're still pretty far in the hole. We're still in third place in our division.
Yeah, and this is now the Kansas City Chiefs sit at 6-5, and then you look at a team like the Baltimore Ravens that was dead and buried. Now they're 6-5, but they're atop the division in the AFC North because that division sucks. The Chiefs aren't going to win the AFC West this season. Like, that, the division streak is over with, but all they can do now is get into the postseason and see if they can put it all together because at the end of the day, I still believe they're just as talented as any team in the league in a season where there is simply no team that is overwhelmingly running away with this thing and trying to convince you that they are far and away the best team in the NFL. Like, the Detroit Lions are kind of in a similar situation to the Chiefs, except that the Lions, like, offensively have still been fun and competitive this year. It's their defense. It's a huge problem. But, like, it takes Jahmyr Gibbs rushing for over 200 yards today for them to beat the Giants in overtime. It's a weird NFL season, which is why all of this stuff is still so open and still why everything is still in front of the Kansas City Chiefs. But that's not the conversation we're having if they lose this game. So, yes, still tons of answers, still tons of red flags, still tons of things to be upset about when it comes to this team. But at the end of the day, they finally got it done when it mattered. They finally got it done in crunch time in a close game, in a do or die season on the line game. They finally took care of business. And credit to this team because they were having some problems with the Colts in the first half. And Shane Steichen was really confusing the Chiefs on the defensive side of the ball in the first half, where he was really dialing things up for the guys that you don't expect. And so they get a massive gain to Ashton Doolin early in the game. It's the other tight ends besides Tyler Warren. But at the end of the day, Steve Spagnuolo goes out there against the best offense in football. Jonathan Taylor finishes 16 carries for 58 yards. He does have one big 27-yard gain, but 58 yards against that running back who's having that season, you live with that easily. Tyler Warren, 5 catches for 45 yards. Michael Pittman, 5 for 27. Alec Pierce, who's having a monster contract season, only finishes this game with 1 reception for 27 yards. Like, this is the kind of performance that we've been waiting for from this defense because I feel like a lot of people have been talking about this Chiefs defense as if it's this wishy-washy unit all season long. And we know what the problem is with them. Sometimes they just don't have enough juice in the pass rush. But when you get this kind of game from Chris Jones, the Chiefs secondary is tremendous. And this defense is still really talented. But this was the first time all season today, Rocky, where I was like, that defense can go win you football games. Because that's something that the Chiefs have had the past couple of years. It didn't seem like they had had that at any point so far this season, despite some nice moments. This was the first time all year long today that I was like, okay, that defense can go win you football games when you need it. And they got it at the biggest moment of the season. And hopefully it is something they can build on. And hopefully it is truly a turning point in 2025 for this team, because that's the best this defense has looked from top to bottom all season long in the second half against the Colts.
Oh, 100%. And I mean, Steve Spagnuolo says it all the time. You have to earn the right to rush the quarterback, right? And by doing that means you have to stop the run on the early downs. And that's what the Chiefs did. By the Chiefs coming in and keying in on Jonathan Taylor and selling out to stop Jonathan Taylor at any cost, right? Then what they did was they broke the back of that Colts offense and they broke their will because they're in bad downs and distances at that point and they have to pass the ball. But the problem is you're lighting up Daniel Jones, so he's rushed. he doesn't want to throw the ball short because there's too many guys short because you're blitzing. And so he tries to push the ball further downfield. He can't throw the ball deep. His accuracy, middle to long, is horrible. You see him panicking, throwing the ball, missing open receivers. You put Daniel Jones under pressure, and he crumbles. And the Chiefs earned the right to blitz Daniel Jones by stopping Jonathan Taylor early. Shane Steichen, like, dude screwed up. I don't care if Jonathan Taylor's averaging 2.5 yards a carry. I'm still handing the ball to Jonathan Taylor come hell or high water in this game, because all you did was say, I'm going to rely on Daniel Jones to throw the ball downfield and to keep us in this game. And that that's not going to work. Like, that's not going to work. That's the beauty of Steve Spagnuolo's defense, though, is that he makes coaches forget their star running backs. He takes them away early and breaks their offensive will to where they think, oh, I'm not going to be able to run the ball today. I have to pass it. And then these coaches just start passing the ball and to no effect whatsoever. And then their quarterbacks get flustered. And then our secondary is able to step up and make plays.
Yeah.
I think that was the thing with the Buffalo Bills a few weeks back, is that they were like, no, screw it. We're going to run the ball no matter what. Like we're sticking to it, and we're going to run the ball, stop it early. We're going to commit to running the ball. But how often did you see the Titans do that back in the day? How often did you see the Ravens do that with Derrick Henry? That's why the Chiefs are so good against Derrick Henry, is they stop him early in the game, and then they just abandon the running game after that, and they try to throw the ball on the Chiefs, and that's what you don't want to do, right? And so hats off to this defense. This defense played nails today. Patrick Mahomes, not his best game. Not especially the first 3 quarters. Horrible game for Patrick Mahomes. He's way too rushed. Going through his progressions way too quick. Tony Romo was a broken record about how fast Mahomes was going through his progressions and getting off his receivers too fast. And he was right. Mahomes was panicking. He was stepping up in the pocket too much. He was flushing himself into pressure and trying to roll out to the right and cutting the field in half instead of just hanging in there when he had protection. And once in the 5 minutes left in the game, he decided to just let things slow down a little bit. Just take a deep breath, man. You don't have to win the game on every single play. Like, just let the offense be the offense a little bit. And they ran some zone beaters too, which is their strength, right? Because they still can't get off man coverage. I'm sorry. Like, the reason why Tony Romo was like screaming for them to throw outside the numbers, he's not going to throw outside the numbers because Worthy's not going to win outside the numbers. Rashee Rice isn't going to win outside the numbers. That's why they're not throwing it outside the numbers. They got to work the middle of the field because it's the only place they win.
Yeah, and I despise Tony Romo as an analyst and broadcaster. Like, he drives me absolutely insane. But yeah, like, I do want to mention before we really dive into the offense, because I agree with a lot of what you were saying, Rocky. Trey Smith did leave this game with an ankle injury. As Stacy points out, Chris Jones was getting checked out by trainers late in this game. And then we already mentioned Rashee Rice is dealing with a hamstring injury, but manages to finish the game and comes up big in overtime. But also Xavier Worthy, who had that huge catch in overtime. Worthy's kind of in and out of the lineup today, dealing with that nagging ankle injury that's been bothering him. So, like, this Chiefs wide receiver room is really banged up as we head into this Thanksgiving matchup. So all of those things are things we need to keep an eye on ahead of Thursday's game against the Cowboys. But yeah, that's been the problem with this offense all season long. And Rashee Rice winds up coming up big, which is exactly like that's what if he's the number one option in this offense, you got to just go out there and make plays because we know what the tape says on him, which it's not it's not any different than it ever has been against him. Like Rashee Rice, he's a big-bodied wide receiver who wins after the catch, and now he's been a little frustrating this season with hanging on to the football, which last year, prior to him going down, he was just catching everything. And the back half of his rookie season, he caught everything, and so that's something that seems like it is fixable, but he's simply not the type of guy who's just going to win one-on-one matchups with his route running. That's not his skill set. Like Rashee Rice is much more in the Debo Samuel mold of wide receiver, but that's not to say that they can't win that way because he's still explosive when he gets the ball in his hands and he can break tackles. And we saw it today. He had two 40-plus yard gains for the Chiefs offense, which is something they simply could not do last season without him. And then Worthy, I'm still willing to bet that he is just really banged up, and I do think he can win those things on the outside, but he's gotta win off the line of scrimmage because he's simply not going to win the more physical matchups, but he can win with his speed and his route running to get open off of the line of scrimmage. And then Tyquan Thornton simply needs to be more involved. Like Hollywood Brown will occasionally give you something, but I just don't understand why Tyquan Thornton isn't a bigger part of the offense right now. He's been much better than Hollywood Brown this season when given opportunity, and he can win those one-on-ones downfield in a way that Hollywood Brown simply can't at this point of his career. So, do I think the offense is fixed, Rocky? No, not at all. Like, not even close. But I also, for 3 quarters, I was just sitting here thinking about how I was just given up and how I was over it and how I was ready to talk about, like, the window's closed and this team doesn't have it in 2025, and at least we've got hope now moving forward. Um they finally found an answer in a close matchup, and they went out and they got a massive win. And it feels like that was the biggest hurdle this team needed to address. And so, would you have liked to have done it in more convincing fashion? Absolutely. But it doesn't matter. They get the close win, they get the win that they needed to have. And hopefully that means that this is legitimately a turning point for them. And we start to see them actually put some things together. Instead of just these mistake riddled contests week after week after week, because that's basically what it was for 3 quarters of this game. But the Chiefs play the best fourth quarter they've played all season, and they find a way to get a win, and that's all that matters at the end of the day.
Well, yeah, and you mentioned Tyquan Thornton. It's like and the offensive and the receiving core being banged up, and it's like, yeah, like Xavier Worthy isn't healthy. He's clearly banged up. He's clearly not 100%. Um, Rashi Rice was dealing with a hamstring injury, and when Rashi goes out, they're going to put Juju Smith-Schuster in to play his role. So I understand that, but like play Tyquan in some of those Xavier Worthy snaps. If he's not going to win on the outside, he's not going to be able to play physical, and he's not going to be able to get those clean releases. Like give Thornton some of those outside receiver snaps then that you would give Worthy. Like, I mean, and also, what kind of indicator is it that with these injuries and with these issues that we haven't seen hide in our hair of Jalen Royals? Like, Jalen Royals cannot get any within 10 feet of the football field this year. And you would think that he would be able to eat into some of those Hollywood Brown snaps, even, you know what I mean? Like at some point, but it seems like the Chiefs are like, no, we're just going to give this guy a complete redshirt season this year. And we got no interest in bringing him onto the field, which is fine if the offense is humming. Right. But if the offense isn't humming and you need a man beater, and I'm not saying Jalen Royals is a man beater by any stretch of the imagination. He's a rookie wide receiver in Andy Reid's offense. It takes 10 games for a player to get any sort of comfort in Andy Reid's offense. But we've also seen the last couple of years that they've been willing to bring those guys along slowly and kind of like get them in the mix a little bit. Right. And it just seems like the Chiefs have no interest in upping Thornton. No matter what they say, they have no interest in upping Thornton's snap count. They have no interest in trying to incorporate Royals into this offense. And with the injuries that they're currently facing at the wide receiver position, it's a little bit concerning. I mean, just because you got at some point, you got to be able to beat man coverage, right? Like you're going to play a team like the Eagles again, and they're just going to man coverage you all day with Quinyon Mitchell, and you're not going to beat them, and you're not going to be able to do anything. At some point, you have to be able to beat man coverage in this league if you want to go anywhere. And I'm right. Like 3 quarters of this game, I was sitting there looking at top 15 picks for the Chiefs to take next year in the draft. I was building up my big board completely different than normal for the Chiefs because I was like, oh, wow, well, shoot. The Chiefs got a shot at Caleb Downs if they want to trade up, you know, and I'm glad that we're still in it. We still might not. I'd much rather be picking in the late 20s than anything, you know. But I liked that there was a sense of urgency out of this team, especially late in the fourth quarter. I liked that Mahomes was like, listen, I'm going to be that guy that's going to make sure that we move the ball. and I liked that the defense was like, not today, Satan, we're going to shut you down. Like there was a lot
Yeah.
of good things in this game, and they did what they had to do to win a crucial game at home. But man, this is not the same team we've seen the last couple of years. This is not the same offense. The offense is still stale. And the special teams was still making mistakes on coverage. They were still holding penalties in this game. And one question I have is you bring Tyquan Thornton in for a kick return and he makes something happen. Like he had a pretty good kick return, and that one kick return he has, and then you immediately go back to Remigio, which I understand like it's a close game. You trust Remigio to catch the ball, but I mean, Thornton, like you need something to happen. You need a big play. Like why not give Thornton more of a shot back there than just one kickoff or one punt?
Yeah, I just don't understand what's happening there. Because just on the deep targets alone, Tyquan Thornton has given you more than Hollywood Brown has at any point this season. And you would think that with Tyquan Thornton's size, like if you give him a few more manufactured touches with his size and speed, he's going to do a little bit more with it than Hollywood Brown is going to do. Because Hollywood Brown doesn't break tackles. Like it's either he wins downfield in blown coverages, or he occasionally gets open over the middle or like for a short pass, and that's about it. I still think that you can get more out of Xavier Worthy if he can just get healthy. But we're post bye. There's no more breaks anymore. Like the Chiefs just have to figure it out on the fly. And now you head into a short week on a Thanksgiving game that's going to be on. It's going to be a standalone game on one of the biggest holidays in the country. And there's a strong chance they're not going to have Trey Smith in that game. There's a strong chance Rashee Rice could be unavailable in that game. And they have to continue to figure things out. And I do think it's going to start with the running game a little bit. This, at least to me, was just them saying, okay, the run game can keep us from causing these mistakes. And while it may not be the most explosive thing in the world, it keeps us in the game because we don't have a back-breaking turnover. And they still almost had the back-breaking turnover in the Kareem Hunt fumble, but thankfully they were able to overcome it because the defense was so incredible in the fourth quarter. So I don't think we came out of this game with any definitive answers about this Kansas City Chiefs team, but at least they got over the hump. And at least we now are in a position where the Chiefs can literally just make up for all of the mistakes that they piled up this season. And they have an opportunity to actually go do something that matters down the stretch. And I think that's the biggest thing, because if they lose this game, I think it's over, Rocky. Like, if they lose this game, I could see those post-game press conferences and those faces, and it's the same recycled answers over and over again. Like, we can't, we just shoot ourselves in the foot. Like, everything's there for us. Like, we got the talent. We have the guys in this locker room to like do all this stuff. We just can't keep killing ourselves every week. And that would have been the exact same thing that we would have gotten. The energy would have been totally deflated and underwhelming, and you would have been like, there's just nothing I believe about this Kansas City Chiefs team this season. This totally changes the trajectory the rest of the way for me, because now they at least get this thing done in a close matchup, and they find a way to go get a win when it mattered the most. And it's the first time I think we can really say that all season long, because even in their wins where they've dominated teams, there were still flaws in all of those games. It was just that the offense was finally moving. Now the offense has taken this huge step back, but that's what happens in the NFL late in the season. When you get a lot of tape, teams start to figure things out and you got to make adjustments. And the Chiefs' adjustment today was just run the damn ball, and it worked. So I'm fine with them doing that moving forward, but they still have plenty of things that they have to find answers to.
Listen, after last week's game, the Chiefs looked like a former champion that where all the fight had gone out of him. Like Chuck Liddell late in his career, when he had a glass jaw and one shot would take him out. Like that's what the Chiefs looked like. They looked like a team that had been in too many fights and they lost the will to fight anymore, and they just didn't have it in them anymore. This was the first game that the Chiefs have been on the ropes this year where they found the grit to punch their way back out and to make it messy, right? Dirty box. I mean, for lack of a better term, like they dirty box their way to a win today, right? They didn't do anything right. They didn't do anything pretty per se, but they won in the trenches. And that's the one thing you can say about this game is that defensively they won in the trenches and offensively they did enough in the trenches, right? Like I think that this game looks pretty different in the trenches if Trey Smith is in there instead of Mike Caliendo for the entire game. But like they still got like we just got to accept the fact that they're not going to be explosive running the ball, but they are going to be able to pick up short yardage situations with Kareem Hunt. Hopefully, as long as they'll run under center and just run the damn ball under center, right? Like the Chiefs decided to do that today to great effect. And then they get on the goal line and Andy Reid gets scared. It's almost like Andy Reid got scared and decided to go and to fall back on like his little trick playbook. And sometimes just like they say like in design, like KISS, right? Like keep it simple, stupid. Like first and goal on the 1 yard line, KISS, baby. Just keep it simple, stupid. Just like run the damn ball up the middle from under center and get your touchdown, right? Like they called like the one rushing touchdown they had today was the Marcus Allen special, right? And it worked.
Yeah.
It worked. Like just do that more, right? Just do the things that work more on offense and just see what happens. Like just hey, let's just try things that work and then do more of that. Like that's my analysis right there, Steven.
Well, there's something to that. I think that sometimes they overcomplicate things for no reason. And sometimes like, yeah, you mentioned that like pistol look where it's just like, what? Everybody knew they were just gonna hand the ball off to Kareem Hunt, get stuffed for a 2-yard loss, and it's like, what was the point of the look? What's the point of the look? He didn't fool anybody. And then the play developed in slow motion because of the way you were lined up. And so listen, the direct snap stuff with Rasheed Rice in the backfield, that stuff is fun, but they need a little bit more variety with it because everybody knows where it's going when they put those looks out there. And then today they did get that with the Kelsey up the middle, but unfortunately gets wiped off because of a bogus penalty. But I like those plays. I want to see them keep doing more of those plays, but I do think there needs to be a little bit more variety within those plays, and I think they can certainly do some of that stuff. A lot of penalties in this game too, and I hate being the ref guy because I'm always just like, oh, just play the game, like deal with it. This crew of officials is one of the worst crew of officials I've ever seen in an NFL game. It was unbelievable how bad they were today for both teams. I thought there was bogus penalties for both teams all day long, just insane calls on both sides of the ball. They were absolutely awful. But I think that there is something to the fact that the Colts at times don't trust Daniel Jones, and the Chiefs defense played so great in the second half that they forced them into exactly where they didn't want to be. And Shane Steichen tightened things up and got scared because Daniel Jones, as we mentioned earlier this week, Rocky, when Daniel Jones is backed into a corner, he will turn the ball over and he will turn it over a lot. And that's what has happened in the Colts losses lately is he even in some of their wins, he's turned the ball over a bunch. Like he will turn the football over. And so they started to play scared late in the game and it wound up costing them because the Chiefs simply after that Kareem Hunt fumble in the fourth quarter, the Chiefs just never made the back-breaking mistake again, and it was enough to carry them to one of their biggest wins of the season.
Oh, 100%. And yeah, like you hit the nail on the head. Like when Daniel Jones is pressured, his butthole puckers. And when his butthole puckers, Shane Steichen's butthole puckers because he says, "Oh no, I got to brace myself for what's coming, and I don't know what my quarterback's going to do, so I got to get conservative." Or I don't. And then they couldn't run. Normally, he'll just lean on running the ball, but he couldn't do that today because the Chiefs were shutting it down. And you're 100% right. This was the most horrible officiating I've seen, like on both sides of the ball. Like you said, like this crew leads the league in penalties coming into this game. And they were missing some calls. They were calling other calls. They threw a flag because the Chiefs had 10 men on the field, which isn't a penalty, which, by the way, question, Serda, do you think that was a trick play where they knew they had 11 guys on the field and they were running the guy off, and that guy was in motion to try to catch the Colts off guard, and they were going to do something stupid and like try to score a touchdown there?
I don't think so. I'm not willing to bet that with as sloppy as this team has been, with situational execution this season, that they would even dream of trying something like that. And special teams were absolutely garbage again today for the Chiefs. We did talk about it on Show and BK this week, like whether or not Dave Tobe was in any type of jeopardy for his job. I don't think he is. I think he probably should be, but Andy, as we know, is very, very loyal to his coaching staffs. Andy's known Dave Tobe for 30 plus years. I don't think he's going to fire Dave Tobe. I think it's going to take Dave Tobe just being like, I'm done. I'm ready to retire and walk away before we see a new special teams coordinator for the Chiefs. But it's hard to just overlook the fact that the Chiefs special teams has been one of the worst units in the NFL this season. And you can get away with having a bad special teams, but you can't get away with having the worst special teams unit in the league that consistently costs you in moments of the games. And the Chiefs special teams has legitimately been that this season.
Well, yeah, and what you also can't do is you can't say, okay, I'm going to have a kick returner that I know is going to catch the ball and get me to the 25-yard line every single time, and then just let Mahomes take over from there. And I'm not going to have any explosive plays, but we're not going to like drop the kickoff like Sky Moore used to do, because you can't do that and also get a holding penalty on the kickoff and then go back 10 more yards, or get a holding penalty on the punt and then go back 10 more yards and start at the 15 every single drive. Like, there's too many drives this year where the special teams is shooting the offense in the foot and putting them in bad field position, where they have to go like that 10 yards is a huge difference on how long you have to go to get a touchdown, right? Like an 85-yard drive versus a 75-yard drive are two totally different things, right? And so Dave Tobe should definitely be more than on the hot seat, in my opinion. The Chiefs special teams has been degrading year by year and eroding little bit by little bit every single season over the last 5-6 years, probably. But also, like you said, like Andy Reid isn't just loyal to Dave Tobe. He also made Dave Tobe the assistant head coach of this team, like a handful of years ago. And so like you're not just firing the special teams coordinator, you're firing your assistant head coach of the team at that point. And that's different. That's different than firing a coordinator at that point. And so like maybe the first step is at the end of the year, you take away his assistant head coach label and just make him the special teams coordinator. And then you set the table for by the time that Andy Reid retires, you could fire him in 2031 and get a new special teams coordinator on this team.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen either. But we'll see. All that matters, Chiefs are 6-5, above 500, still in the playoff race. They still need some things to fall their way, but in an AFC that I think is still totally wide open, top to bottom, they are alive. So just cannot understate it enough. Just absolutely massive, massive comeback win for the Chiefs as they get this thing done 23-20 in overtime. Now we head into a short week, Thanksgiving. So stick with us here on Foolish Club Media. We'll have everything you need to know. But it's going to be kind of condensed this week as we get ready for a quick turnaround Thursday football game, and the Chiefs are going to be very banged up heading into this one. So there's going to be lots of news, lots of things to keep an eye on here. So thank you guys for hanging out with us. Rocky, before we get out of here, since we do have a short week, like, what do you want to see heading into Thursday, coming off of easily the biggest win of the Chiefs season?
I want to see Mahomes just take a deep breath and just don't rush it so much, man. Just like go through your progression.
Their offense looked as good as it's looked in weeks when they got into hurry up today. Like, let's just
go no huddle for a change.
Let's put him in a situation where he's not thinking too much at the line of scrimmage, because it feels like that a lot of time is what's going on right now. Just let him go out there and play and ball and make plays, because that's when he looked
Yeah.
easily the most comfortable for the Chiefs today.
Oh, 100%. He looked easily the most comfortable when he was just able to go out there and ball and not overthink things. He's able just to take a deep breath and not feel like he has to win the game right off the bat, right? I feel like there's just so much pressure on him right now that just like, dude, just take a deep breath and just go play football because that's what you're good at. Just go play football. And then these receivers have to learn to win on the outside, and they have to play more physical on the outside. I don't know if they can do it, but they need to figure something out there. And then secretly, quietly, George Karlaftis has actually had a really good last 2 weeks. And so just find ways for George Karlaftis
Yeah.
and Chris Jones to get next to each other on some rushing reps and see if you can overload that side of the line of scrimmage and just cause some havoc.
Yeah. Totally agree with all that. So stay locked in right here on Foolish Club Media. Follow Rocky Magaña on Twitter at Rocky Magaña. I'm Steven Sertz, where you can find me. As always, subscribe, rate, and review. We'll have everything you need to know as the Chiefs look to get a couple of games above 500 and hopefully keep this thing moving and continue to put themselves in a position to try to climb back into this playoff race down the stretch. We'll have everything you need to know right here. We will talk to you guys later this week.